Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 English lesson on homophones. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 8. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of homophones. All right, so our chapter is homophones. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 8. And our lessons that we are going to be doing or to be focusing on under the chapter of homophones, it's to use the correct homophones. All right, so homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and meanings. So that's homophones. They spell the same, but they have different spellings and they have different meanings. And if we look at a few examples, right? It says, my friends and I buy lunch at school. And if we look at the word buy, right, which is B-U-Y, that word buy, it means to pay for something, right? Because you're buying something, you're paying for something. Then the next one says, then we all eat together by, which is B-Y, the big tree. And the word by, which is B-Y, it means near. It's like where we'll be sitting. It's like somewhere near. And then we have another word that sounds the same, which is bye, which is B-Y-E. And this word bye, it's short for saying goodbye. Right? So if we look at that three words, which is buy, which is B-U-Y, buy, which is B-Y, and buy, which is B-Y-E, all three of those words, right? They sound the same. But if you look at the meaning of those words, right? And then the meaning of that words are different because the first word buy, B-U-Y, it is to pay for something, right? It's like going to the shop and you give basically your money in order to get your goods. Then buy, B-Y, it means near. It's where you'll be sitting. It's either here or there. And then B-Y-E, it is short for saying goodbye. It's like a greeting. So all three of these words, right? Like once again, they sound the same, but they have different spelling. And that is why I specifically spelled the words, and the meaning of the words are different. So they have different spelling and they have different meanings. All right. So once again, homophones, it is words that sounds the same, but they have different spelling and they have different meaning. And if we look at another example, right, of homophones where words they sound the same way, but the meanings as well as the spellings are different. Then we have the words do, and due, right? And they are homophones. And if we think about what each word of these mean, right? If you look at the first word do, which is D-O, the first word do, which is D-O, and do, which is D-O, it means to carry out an action. So it's to carry out an action. And then if you look at the next word, due, which is D-U-E. And this word due, it means required at a certain time. It's like saying you have a project or assignment due on the 31st, or let's say on the 27th of August. So it requires a certain time. It's due. And then lastly, we have due, which is D-E-W. Due. And if we look at that word due, right, due means it's moisture that forms on cool surfaces overnight. That is dew. So if we look at these three words, right, all three of these words, they are homophones because they sound the same, but the spelling and the meaning of these words are different. And once again, homophones are words that sounds the same, but the meaning are different. The meanings are different, as well as the spellings of these words are different. And we made examples of buy, and we made examples of do, right? That is why, even though you find that words have the same sound, but you need to try and figure out what the meanings of these words are. All right. So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and we're going to continue on our lesson, or with our lesson on homophones. And the lesson is use the correct homophones. All right. So we said that homophones are words that sounds the same, but they have different spellings and they have different meanings. And we made examples of by, and we made examples of due. All right, so now we're going to look at our activity before we go on to our test. It says we need to complete the sentence with the correct homophone, right? It says over this fence, and you will be surprised by how well tended the garden on the other side is. All right. And if we look at this word, right, it's they're not even giving us the proper, they're only telling us. So it's like we need to fill in a missing word in front, right? It says, over this fence. It's like saying, look over this fence, and you will be surprised by how well tended the garden on the other side is. Or it's like, peek over the fence, and you'll be able to see how well the garden is. So they want to use the word peek, right? Peek. And the word peek means to quickly look, or look quickly or secretly. That is what the word peek means. Then we have another word peek, which is P-E-A-K. So the word P-double-E-K means to look quickly or secretly. Now we have P-E-A-K, and P-E-A-K, it is the top of the mountain. All right. And if you look at both of those words, both the words peak, right, are homophones. They sound the same, but the spelling and the meanings are different because the one peak, P-E-E-K, it is to look quickly or secretly, whereas the other peak is like the top of the mountain. All right. All right. Let's go to the next one. It says, given that there were more than 100 guests at the wedding, how many do you think Lila or Leela and Andrew have received? Or how many, because there's a word missing. So I'm not sure if they say gifts, but how many, how many presents? Present. Here we have the word present, which is Present. If it's plural, it's with an S also. All right, and the Homophones are present, right? And another word is presence. So present and presence, which is Presence. So that is presence and present or presents, like gifts. It's Presents, right? And if we look at both of those homophones, right? These are homophones because they sound the same. But if you look at the word, the spelling are different and the meaning also different. Because the first word present, which is Presents, it means gifts that you get either on your wedding day, you get on your birthday, you get on, if there's any form of rewards that is given to you, you get a gift, you get presents. And then you have another word, presence, which is Presence. That's presence, and that means a state of being in a particular place. It's like my presence here at the place is, very demure. So that is the two words, which has different meaning, they have different spelling. All right. So now, if we look at the next word, right? So if we look at both of that words, right? Presence is words that sounds the same, but the meanings of those words are different. The next one is Stephen mixed blue and red to create a rich purple hue, which he used to color the white tablecloth. All right. And we said that Stephen mixed blue and red, and we can use the word dye. So, dye to create a rich purple hue, which you use to color in the white tablecloth. So now, if we look at the word that sounds the same as dye, which is DYE, right? Yeah, we also have another word, dye, DIE. And the first word die, which is D-Y-E, right? These two words, firstly, are homophones because they sound the same, but the spelling and the meaning of the words are different. All right. And if we look at both of that words, right, they sound the same. But if you look at the spelling, it is different because the first one is D-Y-E and the second one is D-I-E. And if we now look at the meaning of those words, the first word die, which is D-Y-E, the meaning of this word is it's a substance that is used to change the color of something. That is dye. All right. And if we look at both of that words, right? Actually, we're not even by both of the words. We said we are still by the first one, and that is a substance used to change the color of something. That is to dye something, right? Whether you dye your hair, it means that it is something that is used to change the color of your hair. All right. And then the second word die, D-I-E, die means to cease to be alive, meaning it is to unalive somebody, right? That is to die. It's like you don't live you're not going to live anymore. You die, right? All right, so now let's go to our test. And before we go to our test, right, these are words, or we went over a few examples of homophones, right, where we see that it sounds the same, but the spellings of the words as well as the meaning of the words are different, right? That is homophones. We made an example of by, we made an example of due, we made an example of presence, and we made an example of die, right? With the sound, we all of them sound the same. All right. So now we're going to our test. So now we're beginning test. We're going to complete the sentence with the correct homophones, right? It says, over the fence, and you will be surprised by how well tended the garden on the other side is. What over the fence? Do we say peek, which is the first word Peek over the fence, peek, or the second option, which is Peak, peek? Which one is correct? All right. So if we were to choose the correct answer, right, that is in line with the sentence, because we need to peek over the fence and you will be surprised by how well tended the garden on the other side is. And then last, then we also have another one, right? Before we go on to that one, it says, oh, the first one first. Sorry, I thought I pressed. We have peek. All right. And peek is to look quickly or secretly over something. Then we said in October, the leaves will die and fall to the ground, exposing the tree's thin silver branches. So in October, the leaves will die and fall to the ground, exposing the tree's thin silver branches. All right, so we're saying that the leaves will die. And if we were to choose or use the correct one, we will choose option one, right? Because the second one is to color something, is to unalive something, DIE. Given that there were more than 100 guests at the wedding, how many do you think Lila and Andrew have received? Presents. We need to use the word presents. Is it option one or option two for presents? All right, so given that there were more than 100 guests at the wedding, how many presents do you think Lila and Andrew have received? If we look at the first word, right, presents with a CE, that presence is to do with you being present, you being there, right? You being in an area, your presence, like you physically being there. Then the second one is presence, which is also to do with gifts, which means that if we were to receive our correct word to complete the sentence, it would be option two, because that present, it also means gifts. All right, so now it says, when is the next membership payment for the community pool due? So when is the next membership payment for the community due? Is it option one due, option two due, or option three due? They're talking about payments that needs to be in. It's like a deadline or date or time as to when it needs to be in. All right. And if we were to choose the correct option, that is to do with a time frame, right? That one needs to give payment, and then we can say it is due. And lastly, Dr. Casey has patients whom she has been treating for more than 20 years. So Dr. Casey has patients whom she's been treating for more than 20 years. And if we look at that word, right, the first word is to do with patience. The second one is to do like with your presence, like you physically being there. So patience. And as you've noticed now, we have three patients, which is that patience and the, oh, I was not thinking of presence. I was not thinking of the word presence. All right, so when the wind changed, Aaron expertly adjusted the sail in order to keep his boat on course or on course. Is it option one or option two? All right, then lastly, we can say when the wind changed. Aaron expertly adjusted the sail in order to keep his boat on course. There's two words course, right? The first word course, which is Coarse, that word course, it means, because you get different words with different meaning. It is either rough or a person's texture. And then you have the word course, which is Coure. And that means the course means it is the route or direction that is followed by either a ship, an aircraft. It's like a route that you follow when you're traveling. So which means that we will go with option two. All right, so that is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade 8. You must have a good evening further.